Sets for three and hit it. Jason Lawhead gives the Spartans a 5-4 lead. Back comes Illyria up top on the inbound. Flips it left side to Lawhead. He'll launch another three and hit it. Jason Lawhead with an NBA three on that one. Gives it deep in the corner to Lawhead for three, and he hit another one. Lawhead with 9 3-pointers.
Everybody, welcome. Lawhead's Court. It's live. It's December 11th, Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific time. Beautiful weather here on the West Coast. I know my friends in Northeast Ohio are going through it a little bit, and it's cold, and it sucks, and I'm sorry. And I wish you had a better football team in Cleveland. And I'm just bewildered still at the last 2 point after decisions by Kevin Stefanski. I mean, it's like, to me, Stefanski is... If you were to look at that, if he was an NFL player in the day and age we're living in, when we're isolating video from Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz and some other people, NBA guys, if you were to isolate, if Kevin Stefanski was a football player and you were to isolate the last 2 decisions, especially the last decision of the game to leave Shedeur Sanders off the field for a 2-point conversion, I would be like, this guy's gambling. Like, seize this guy's phone. Take his phone. Look through his phone. Connect him to Haslam, probably. I don't know. Hopefully. But the fact is that this guy hasn't already been fired is a shame. The fact is that when you see what Shedeur Sanders is capable of, and is he the franchise quarterback? I don't know. That's obviously yet to be seen, but the eye test is even more alarming in this game. The eye test was already plainly obvious after the Raiders, and even as much as the offense struggled against San Francisco, and even as much as the offense gave the ball back to the 49ers and the special teams, which they did again against the Titans, gave the ball back to these teams in just terrible field position, their red zone field position, basically, on often times. The eye test was already surpassed. Dillon Gabriel. These people, these guys, some of these Cleveland media guys go, well, Dillon Gabriel showed the same kind of... You're out of your mind, dude. If you haven't seen what you've seen, and you can't just be like, oh, my God, Dillon Gabriel is an emergency quarterback. Put Dillon Gabriel behind glass and break if an emergency. And he fits in one of those little fire hydrant things anyway. So stick him in a little fire hydrant thing and just have him there in his jersey. And in case of emergency, break glass for Dillon Gabriel. Dillon Gabriel is like a guy, let me tell you something. It's just... I can't even... Look, move on. Sanders is the starting quarterback, and the fact that he wasn't involved in that conversation at the time they were ready to trade Joe Flacco, the fact that he wasn't involved more in even like, okay, guess what? In some of these games, we're at least going to take a decent look at him in a fourth quarter, or if Dillon gets sacked, run around a little bit, the offense is sputtering, and we just had a couple of 3-and-out. Let's just take a shot right before the end of the half with Shedeur. The fact that he wasn't even in, the fact the situation that they were in proves that they knew Shedeur Sanders might tear off some wins. God forbid in the AFC North this year, if you would have put him in earlier. Not saying they would have. I still believe the Browns are dysfunctional from Stefanski down, and eventually it would have trickled off, even if Sanders would have got hot early and been able to beat a Jets and been able to beat another team or two by the time it got to the point where he was actually put in to start. Maybe they would have been in position to maybe sneak around the corner in this terrible division. It's almost like the Browns didn't want to ruin their draft spot by accidentally winning the AFC North. That's how it feels right now. And the fact that there's even like, oh, we'll take some more look. No. Shedeur Sanders, the draft stinks. Look at the Heisman finalists. It's all quarterbacks, and it's all I wouldn't want anywhere near Cleveland right now. Julian Sain, maybe in a few years, he's a freshman in the Heisman voting, whatever. I think that alone shows its weakness. Mendoza, he's probably going to be your Heisman Trophy winner. It probably came down to last week's games. Mendoza versus Sain for the Heisman. And you're telling me that that's the Heisman Trophy now? Is that these are the finalists? We can't find some real running backs from back in the day like that would just come out of a college sometimes that you didn't, you knew who that college was, but maybe, they weren't vying for the national title, so to speak. Or, Notre Dame has a finalist. They're not even in a ball game. So you're telling me that they could find a defensive player to topple Peyton Manning for the Heisman Trophy. But in 2025, we can't find another position player besides a quarterback now? Is that what it is? It's just what quarterback had the best season on a pretty darn good team? I don't even know how that darn came out, but whatever. But look, Shedeur Sanders, the Browns should just bite the bullet and say, we were stupid. We were dumb. And the only thing we did right was be a team that finally took Shedeur Sanders. They can actually look like the least stupid of all the stupids if this works out. I know the Tennessee Titans is a 1-11 team, and their defense isn't the Cleveland Browns, and the Cleveland Browns defense for Cam Ward was a lot more difficult to go up against, and two of their touchdowns came on short fields because of a fumble and a miscue, block punt or whatever it was. So 17 of their points came on drives that the offense or the special teams handed Tennessee on that side of the field. So Cam Ward had a harder time putting up numbers, no doubt. But Shedeur Sanders still had to go out there and execute an offense on the third week after not getting any reps, basically, and even being in the conversation to get in there and take some snaps in some games earlier in the season. No. He came in as what I described Dylan Gabriel as break in case of emergency when Gabriel got knocked out of the New England game. Started and won in Oakland, whatever their name is. I will always call them Oakland. Started and won in Oakland. Started and took his lumps against a real football team and a real franchise and a coaching staff that comes in with a real game plan. And then had a great game against a team that warrants him to have a great game. That's great. The offense, that team should have at least been in overtime by the time the last two possessions. What are you doing going for two when you can make it a 7-point game? And these people are like, so you can get it to 6 and then the next touchdown you can win it on an extra point. So you're willing to kick an extra point. One guy goes like this. You never know, man. I might miss the extra point. Well, then go for it for 2 on every single one. If that's your mentality, go for it for 2 on every single touchdown. Because don't tell me you're going for it for 2 to get it to a 6-point game so you can kick an extra point to win it by 7 if you get the ball back. There's no logic. Whatever analytic is the dumbest analytic in sports, none of it is dumber than having a chance to kick an extra point to cut it to a 7-point game and electing to take a 2-point conversion instead. Dumbest analytic. I don't know who did it. I would go for it on 4th and 20 from my own 25, north of the 2-minute warning and with all 3 timeouts. Before I would do anything at any time in the clock, in any time of the day, in any time, anywhere, ever. Then go for 2. Down 8, essentially, able to go down 7 with a point after kick. Never. In no world. If I have to receive the onside kick and only have time for one Hail Mary after it, I'm still kicking the 7. Unless my kicker broke his leg. Then I'm going for it for 2 on every possession. And now you got to go for it for 2 the second time just to tie the game. Now the second time you got to tie the game and go for it for 2. And what do? You take Shedeur Sanders, who's thrown for 3 touchdowns and run for 1, off the field. That alone should be investigated. It's incredible it's not being investigated. Jason Lawhead, Lawhead's Court Live, Thursday, December 11th. And that's where we are. That's where we are. In spite of Stefanski, Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback the Browns will have an opportunity to put in the lineup, at least in the next 2 years. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to draft a quarterback in the first round? Who do you want? Mendoza? You want that guy? I mean, if he's going to win the Heisman, great. If Indiana's going to win the national championship and he looks at, great. You want that guy, that dude? No way. No way. Based solely on his interviews. Solely on how he handles himself. The dude's like a Ben Stiller character. I mean, Shedeur handles the media really well for a young guy, for having a dad who's as famous and legendary and kind of, not so LeVar Ballish, but still in the face of it all. As a head coach at Colorado, as neon, as prime time with the shades and the cowboy hat, like there's no getting away from this guy, even if he's not trying to be an interfering dad. He's a supportive dad. He is who he is, man. And he always will have been. That's not his fault. Okay? Whether he's a coach at Colorado, he's prime time. He's been that before Shedeur was a little, like that's what his personality has always been. If he was still in the broadcast booth, whatever it is, he's prime time. Shedeur handles that great. Shedeur handles that great. And I don't like the way Mendoza handles things. You want that? Nobody wants that in a locker room of men making millions of dollars trying to be told what to do by guys that might make more than them or slightly less, depending on how big of a star you are. And Curt Cignetti's done an incredible job with Indiana. He's done an incredible job with Indiana. And I would credit Curt Cignetti for being able to tap into something like that in a college locker room, being the alpha. There is not even a shout back at Cignetti, even by the top assistant coach. There's not a snapback in that locker room. Whereas you could have a jawing match with a coach in an NFL on a sideline. Okay? So, no way. So what are the Browns doing other than saying, Shedeur, let's roll this one out. Let's try to win some football games. Let's try to win some football games. Let's finish second in the AFC North. Third, let's say. Let's finish third in the AFC North. Let's have a freaking goal. Let's go in with some game plans. And Stefanski is game planless. He's game planless, and it's evident that Stefanski is game planless. The defense isn't, but Stefanski is. And the offense is just it's like how he plays the playbook and calls plays just like, if I go play roulette, I start with a little strategy early, whatever. None of it's really, I'll put a number here, whatever, just to have a little fun. Like he's having fun with the playbook. It's like he's just kind of, try this one. Yeah, let's do that. 2-point conversion, game on the line, chance to beat in a 1-11 team. Do we want to lose to the 1-11s? He accidentally won the Green Bay game. That was an accident. Look back at it. It was an accident. Green Bay Browns themselves. I've never seen anybody actually Cleveland Browns themselves against the Browns. It's always the Browns brownsing themselves against someone to lose a game the way Green Bay lost it to Cleveland. But I've never seen it in my life. They accidentally beat Green Bay. They couldn't help but beat the Raiders. You know what I mean? Like they could have, Colonel Sanders could have been the quarterback in Las Vegas, and they could have beat the Raiders. And then they somehow beat Miami because Miami hadn't won yet. Miami was garbage then. Now Miami is on the seriously on just a little creeper door on the outside looking into the playoffs. Fat chance they make it, but they went out. I mean, they're 6-7. They got the same record as the Chiefs. So those are the games they won, and then they lost to the Titans, lost to the Jets. I mean, this team could have won football games. And in the way the AFC North went, they could have been somewhere with that defense. That's like I've said it all year. It's pathetic. Super Bowl contending talent on defense, defensive coordinator that could oversee that kind of a thing, in my opinion. Not that they're Super Bowl worthy, even if they would have won the AFC North. God forbid they would have won it at 9-8, I'm sure, or 8-9, depending on how these teams finish. If the Bengals get hot and the Browns get hot and the other two lose, 8-9 might win the division in these last rivalry games, head-to-head matchups. So that, it's almost like you're watching Stefanski just purposely try to get whatever he thinks is going to be in this draft. I mean, unless this is a strategy to commit to Sanders into next year and try to go get a top-notch offensive lineman that you're not telling anybody, that you're keeping close to the vest. Try to get a top-notch, skilled player, unless you're keeping that close to the vest. I don't know what you're trying to accomplish with this, earliest pick you can get. I mean, just have patience. Just admit that Sanders, we got lucky. We were almost as dumb as everybody else. You could look like a hero, right? Hey, we were almost as dumb as everybody else. But we took him in the 5th round because, look, the pedigree. I mean, say all the right things. Do all the right things for once. Say all the right things for once. Do something right for once. Say that, hey, man, you know what? Sanders, his father proved that he was committed to the Colorado program. The pedigree of the kid, we decided, hey, we weren't gonna leave him on the board in the 5th round. Maybe we were as duped as many other franchises were, but we like what we've seen in these last handful plus games going into next year. And you know what? If Shedeur Sanders was in this draft with Mendoza and Love and whoever else is coming out, I'll take Sanders from what I've seen in NFL action right now and what I've seen how he handles himself in the press, how he handled himself throughout the whole controversy of, there's social media from the beginning of the season. There is some social media, justice warriors being very, this is that, and it's because of his name and his color, and that was a theme that he never bought into. He never bought into. He never went off and tried to make himself be some type of Kaepernick martyr of any sort, that he was being treated unfairly. He smiled. He was just there in the jersey, ready to go, watching the flux from Flacco to Gabriel to, a fan base getting restless and hoping for his opportunity. I think that says a lot about why you would keep a guy like that going forward and exercise some patience with him. I don't understand how you don't do that. So, he threw for 364. 3 TDs and ran for 1, and it's all in spite of Stefanski. Stefanski is he should be gone. I mean, if there is not a house cleaning at the end of the season, but Stefanski is coaching like, I know a draft pick I'm taking next year. We're going to do this, and I'm afraid the Browns are going to let Sanders go, somehow slip through the cracks, and they're going to be lost again at this position a year from now, and even worse off 2 years from now. And Sanders will be somewhere, maybe thriving in an offense that all of a sudden, the business of quarterback in the NFL is unpredictable. The business of quarterback in the NFL, a guy could just be done for a year or two, or the next guy could have an Alex Smith injury, or the next guy could have a Deshaun Watson incident, or the next guy could just be given up on, and a job opens in the NFL, and it's the right job at the right time. It's the right job. It's Minnesota just when you needed it, with some receivers and a running back that they went out and got. Whatever it is, Shedeur Sanders has that job already. And the Browns don't even realize it, I don't think. I don't think the Browns even realize that he has that job already. The one I'm talking about. The one that just opened up. The one that has Super Bowl talent on the defensive side of the ball. And now let's go get a guy, offensive lineman or two, and a skill player. And let's start taking a game plan in against these opponents. And let's start letting our defense dictate the game, with our offense and special teams being so buttoned up that we're not going to give away games, that our defense wins in the trenches. We're not going to give it away with turnovers and bad field position and blocked punts and missed assignments and penalties. So that's the kind of team they need to build right now. And it doesn't feel like they have any idea how to do that. I feel like Stefanski, Haslam, Barry, Barry had a good draft, and he had to. He didn't have to, he had to have a good draft, and he had a good draft. But it's easy to have a good draft all the time when you're always just drafting, it seems like. And you're drafting earlier, and you got to beat on guys, and well, here's the end of the first round. Here's who didn't go. Boom. When you have those early round picks, and we got it again. And in the second round, man, here's who didn't go. Well, take that guy, man. If he's still here, I was going to think he'd be off the board, and we would take that. No. Go get Schlesinger, or go get, Sampson. So great. Yeah, that's great. You should be doing your homework. But I feel like they've just kind of, over time with Schwartz and obviously as great as Garrett just is, and other players around, Stefanski, Barry, they've gotten lucky to have those kind of players on the defensive side of the ball, still committed to playing that kind of defense. So being on a team that's offense can't get them a win, more than once every year. The offense got one win this year. That's it. They didn't get any wins this year. The offense didn't get any wins this year. Yeah, they scored 31 against the Dolphins. Go look at what the defense did. 6 against the Dolphins. Go look at all the things the defense created in that game. 13-10 against the Packers. Offense didn't win that. The Packers lost that game. Raiders. Offense played above par at that point because all we had seen is Gabriel. At least we saw Sanders be able to operate some things, get some open field yardage, chunk yardage, bigger plays, maybe something to kind of look forward to. But they still 6-3 not punting. So, the offense is still the major problem. It always has been. It always has been. That's what I'm going to say. The Browns' problem is their offense, and it always has them. Anyway, on. How about that Michigan football, huh? Go blue. Now, when you say go blue, it's go blue. Go black and blue. Go black and blue because Sharon Moore. Wow, this guy turned out to be a real treat, huh? I mean, there are some scumbags in college football, isn't there? I mean, there are just some absolute complete scumbags in all college coaching ranks. It's crazy. It's crazy how many just complete scumbags achieve, the rank of which they eventually get to before eventually their lives and the lives of others that they blow up. And Michigan people are like, who do you think wants a job? I mean, it's a marquee job. Harbaugh made that a good job again. I mean, it's just like, what? So, glad it's not Ohio State. And there's just so many of these Michigan fans that are just in a world of Michigan fans, be Rich Eisen. Don't be Dave Portnoy if you're going to do that. But yeah, that's going to be wild to see all the stuff that's unfolding. This is just kind of all just coming out. as we're even doing this, assault charges and stalking charges. And man, I mean, I'm not saying the guy was stalking her, but she saw Connor Stallions in her bushes one night. Hey, I'm not saying the guy got suspicious when he saw Connor Stallions and his the boyfriend. Anyway, we're live. Nobody's watching. I don't care. This is all for fun. And if you want to join in Lawhead's Court Live, it's actually really just practice right now before I kind of really start promoting and maybe having some friends on to talk. But Ohio State, I had said it last week's show. Indiana has been the only team all year on the board that's really scared me. Because I feel like they could do what Ohio State does, and they did really. Bo Jackson had a pretty good game running the football, but Kurt Cignetti made sure they were going to come after Julian Sayin. They weren't going to get killed in the run game. They were going to make Sayin throw the ball more. If they were going to get beat, it was going to get beat by Sayin and doing what they could do to stop the run game. Because if you open up the run game, if you allow Ohio State to run the football, Cignetti's smart enough to know that Sayin will pick you apart. He's patient enough. He doesn't need to throw the ball 30 times if they don't need to in a tight game. But let's try to force him to throw the ball 30 times. And if he's the Heisman Trophy winner, he's going to show it to us. And then we're going to have to go back to the drawing board in the playoffs if we see him again and watch the tape, figure out what we got to do differently. And now Ohio State has to be that team. Ohio State has to go back to the drawing board a little bit and be like, look, we got beat not the way we wanted to play football, okay? And I think a lot of what Ohio State brought to the table was I thought they thought Indiana was going to try to go toe-to-toe for them and speed up the game. But I think they played right to Ohio State's style. They know a lot of people like to know Ohio State likes to play slow. Ryan Day has played slow this year. They've been taking a lot of time on the play clock, which I like. I like that style with this offense. You still have the receivers. No reason to rush getting the ball to the guys you got to get them to. And if you looked at the game, plays were just about comparable. They ran about the same amount of plays, give or take a few, I think, plus Indiana, and their time of possession was right at about 30 minutes apiece. One turnover each. Everything looked tail of the tape. But rushing yards with the negative yards Sayin got on a lot of sacks and the way they came after him. I mean, that's where Indiana won the football game. And a couple of big plays in the trenches. And like I said against Michigan, down 3-0, Sayin throws that interception, eventually becomes harmless because Ohio State just is that much better and so much more outmanned against Michigan and was able to do what they wanted to the rest of the game. But they weren't that much better like that anywhere near Indiana going in, and I knew that. And so if you throw that interception like Sayin throws, still held them to a field goal, but it's Indiana being able to operate and then getting that interception, putting 3 on the board, coming back, and not giving up the types of plays and yardages that a Michigan would after a play like that. So I knew Indiana was that different kind of a team, and that game scared me. And Ohio State's biggest weakness, as I've said all year, is their schedule, and it showed. Indiana, at Oregon, at Iowa, big wins early, and then they took what Penn State was the best game Penn State gave. After the Franklin ordeal, a couple games after, they had them at home. They were amped up. It was the best game Penn State played all year. They had Indiana on the ropes. Indiana prevailed. Mendoza made the big play. Indiana came down the stretch, right? Indiana made the big plays against Ohio State. And that's how to win this national championship. The team that makes the most big plays or don't give up some big play that will be a highlight for a year to come. Even though they may have outplayed you, and you give up this major one play, fumble, block, something or other, and everybody, that's a clip. And that's how so-and-so won a football game. And that's how you win these things. Great defense, limiting the big play and being the opportunistic team that gets the big play. You know? And right now, to me, even though Indiana's the 1 seed and deservingly so, I think they have the worst draw of any of the top 4 seeds. If you had to ask me. Georgia, they've got the number 1 seed bracket. They've got the winner of Tulane and a coachless Ole Miss. They've got the winner of Tulane and a coachless Ole Miss. Indiana, the number 1 seed. First Big Ten title since the Franklin Roosevelt administration. They have to play the winner of Alabama and Oklahoma. 8 and 9, and maybe deservingly so 8 and 9. Maybe Alabama shouldn't even be in it, which I mean, you can make that argument. We could have that argument all day. That Alabama, 3-loss Alabama lost to 5 and 7 Florida State. I mean, if Notre Dame's first 2 losses, if their losses are going to be held against them, well, they're the first 2 of the year. They're the first 2 of the year against 2 top-ranked teams. I mean, top-ranked teams that are both in the playoff. So how does Alabama lose the first to a 5 and 7, get waxed in the second, have 3 losses and be in there over a Notre Dame? And yeah, I get maybe you played a tougher schedule, but if you didn't play that tough schedule all that tough, really, yeah, you beat Oklahoma. Okay. I'm sorry, you lost to Oklahoma. You lost to Oklahoma. What am I saying? That was my Oklahoma argument. But if Alabama, I don't know. I get these James Madison, Tulane. I don't know what we're doing here. I mean, Duke in the ACC championship game. I don't know what we're doing here. This is just, this feels like the Will Ferrell scene in Zoolander. Is everybody just taking crazy pills? I mean, what are we doing here? The brilliant James Madison, one of the brilliant founding fathers, statesmen in American history. If he were alive today, he'd be like, I shouldn't be in this thing. Come on, let's have a little logic here. Let's exercise a little fucking logic. Anyway. James Madison. Tulane. I mean, nice. God bless you. Great football. You guys are doing great. But I'd rather watch those 2 schools do a debate. You know? Let's do, something. Got a big truck going by. It's a beautiful day here, San Diego. It's gorgeous. I'm playing some golf and a little outing tomorrow, doing a kind of a charity event. So I'm looking forward to that. Got a show Saturday night at a brewery, Roadie's Brewery in Vista. I'm a Roadie's Brewery in Vista. 8:00 show. Come on out. And yeah, so the Heisman race, nothing to speak of, in my opinion. Not exciting. The award has lost its luster. Like the Hall of Fame, Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. What are we doing here? Jeff Kent. Seriously? Jeff Kent? Handful or so of some really good seasons? All-star seasons. You know how many guys have just had a handful or so of all-star seasons that aren't in the Hall of Fame? I mean, can we just grow up at this point and just go, hey, look, you want to embarrass the steroid guys? Put them all in one class together. Limit their time at the mic. Usually the Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame, is limited for 1 or 2 guys, maybe 3. Very rarely you see a 3rd guy inducted unless 3 first ballot Hall of Famers retired in the same year. But the fact is that Jeff Kent is not a Hall of Famer. He's an MVP once. He's an all-star 4, 5, 6 times, whatever it is. You want to embarrass these guys? Put them all in at once. Clemens, Bonds, A-Rod. Let's just say, put 5 guys in. Who's the most 5 deserving that have been shunned? Clemens, Bonds, A-Rod. Ooh, do you give it to McGuire? Because he was like the first to 70 and he's got this kind of modern Ruthian thing. You know, he's got the 580 home runs. That used to be the ticket to Cooperstown. He's played in a lot of big games. He's kind of a monumental figure. Is he good enough to be in that first class? Or do you just go, look, it's Bonds, would have totally been a Hall of Famer. Clemens would have totally been a Hall of Famer. A-Rod would have totally been a Hall of Famer. McGuire, would he have been a Hall of Famer? Not sure. Palmeiro? Not sure. Palmeiro, I think more than McGuire as a true baseball hitter. Beautiful swing. He could, guy had 3,000 hits, 500 home runs. He's in a class of like only, a few guys like Eddie Murray and 3,005 Willie Mays. He's in some crazy like 1 out of 4 or 5 guys. Do these guys all get in at once, or do you trickle them off once you've embarrassed the class of Clemens and just say, hey, look, man, this is the steroid era, and you put them all in a certain wing. Build a new wing for call it the asterisk wing. This is for the steroid era, the asterisk wing. And so whatever. I mean, if you're not going to put the asterisk next to Bonds in the historical books, then induct him into the Hall of Fame. This is nonsense. This has become nonsense. And then while you're at it, the year after, just put Joe Jackson and Pete Rose both in at the same time, posthumously, and be like, look, we identify gambling's a problem again today in sports. And if you gamble, if you bet on the game, if you ever bet and are banned, you will never, make it a rule, you will never be inducted into the Hall of Fame while you're alive, even if you have Hall of Fame numbers. If you are a Hall of Famer on the field, but you've ever been banned for gambling, you will wait till you're dead. It will be a posthumous induction, and that's the risk you take. Would you rather be able to have your family there and be at the podium and get the jack with all the other guys, play the game with some integrity, or do you want to be dead and then have some official from Major League Baseball, because they're never going to let your family, they're never going to let any of your last dying words or whatever you want said at that mic, be a revenge on the game, whatever you think it is. It's going to be his numbers were this, welcome to the Hall of Fame. And then you can put his bust in there. And that can be another wing. You can have the gambling wing. It could be like the high rollers room, like a little offset. But it's a joke. And I've never been to the Hall of Fame. All of the things I've done in sports, I've done some really cool things in my life. I've been to some Major League All-Star games. I was at the 99 Fenway, still the greatest sports event I've ever been to. It will never be topped. I saw Ted Williams be brought out in a cart at Fenway Park, the 50 greatest players, the century's 100 greatest players, right out there, some alive, some dead, all taking the field. And then Ted Williams, the last guy, the 100th player announced. They bring him out of the bowl. Men just crying. I was there for that whole week and saw the home run derby at Fenway in 99. Unbelievable experience. An experience I'll never be topped. I've seen a Masters. I've seen, some World Series games. I've seen some cool stuff in sports. Serena Williams played center court in the U.S. Open. Tiger Woods in majors. Some incredible just sporting event, playoff games. Never seen a Super Bowl. Never seen Cooperstown. And from a little kid, from the time I remember being like, oh, the legends and finding out who my dad used to watch, I'd always had wanted to go to Cooperstown. And one day I was like, I'll go to Cooperstown. Just never, all my travels, I've never gotten to Cooperstown. Always looked forward to it as a kid. Always thought I would go one day. And then about 10 years or so ago, I kind of was like, I don't even care if I ever go to Cooperstown, because that's what has happened to the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame has become so, what? Like, that's my reaction. Huh? Who? What? Ha? What? How is this guy? And then you look at some guys that put it, and you look at other guys that haven't been put in from the past. You go, wait, what? So as much as I wished I had always gone to Cooperstown for so many years, I don't care if I go. I don't care if I'm ever there. I don't care if I ever go. If I stumble upon it, if it's in my travels, if there's a game, it's close by, I'll check it out. I would still go if I was right there. I'm not going out of my way. It's not on a bucket list anymore. Used to be a bucket list, off the bucket list. If I don't get to Cooperstown, I will never think about it. I don't think about it. I won't think about it. When I see the induction and Jeff Kent and I see the news, I don't go, oh man, I don't think about, I used to say, man, I've never been to, I got to get to Cooperstown. I got to see the Stones. I got to see, it's one of those things. No, I don't have to. I saw the Stones. I'm glad I did. It was one of those things. But I don't have to go to Cooperstown anymore. Right? If the Rolling Stones would have replaced, let's say, Charlie Watts with, Tommy Lee, I would have been like, I don't have to see the Stones. Anyway, where are we at? 40 minutes, no viewers. A lot of fun, though. I had a lot of fun. I don't care if you did. It's college football playoff, though. And we'll talk more about that in the coming weeks. There's time for that and the NFL. But we got through it all. We got through Stefanski. We got through the Hall of Fame. We got through the Heisman Trophy. And a few other things. Michigan coach, that whole debacle. Wow, wild stuff coming out of Ann Arbor about Sharon Moore. So anyway, till next week. We're at 41-36, and nobody wants to chat about anything. That's fine. It's the holidays. People are busy. They're working. They're not. They're shopping. I'm gonna do some cooking. Playing in a golf tournament tomorrow, and hope you can tune in. Follow me on any of the social medias. If you watch this later, you're not watching it live, but you may watch it later because I see most of the views are people that watch it later. So at Jason Lawhead Comedy on Instagram, Jason Lawhead Comedy here, and at Jason Lawhead Comedy on TikTok. If you're on the TikTok, I post a lot of stand-up videos, whatever. But well, getting ready to say goodbye, and then one viewer pops in. I got a viewer. We'll see how long they stay. But talked a little Stefanski, blowing this whole Brown situation up with Sanders. Talked a little Heisman Trophy race and how it ain't what she used to be, just like the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. She ain't what she used to be. Had some insight on the Sharon Moore scandal and Michigan football, and that was pretty wild. So, two of you. Right when I'm getting ready to be like, hey, well, I'm 40 minutes talking to myself. You'll probably catch this later. Two viewers come in, but nobody's jumping in on any discussion. So, unless you are, I hope you can go back and watch the rest of it. Because I have some great rants on Shadur Sanders earlier. I had some great rants on Stefanski and Shadur earlier in the show. So, please, swing on by and go click it back to hear my takes. And you can always comment in the archive, and I'll comment back to you. I'll play the game a little bit. So thanks for tuning in. Down to one viewer, no comments. Just coming up on 43 minutes 35 seconds, and that's about it. Unless anybody wants to chime in. What's a topic you want to talk about? NFL, playoff picture, who do you think? Can't wait to play golf tomorrow. I haven't played golf in a while. Playing up at, I think, some place called Shadow Ridge or something up in like Riverside. Playing in a fundraiser for the Cal Baptist University baseball program. My little cousin, little. He's not little. He's a second baseman. Jacked. Home run hitter too. Power hitting second baseman. Benny Castelli is his name, and he's productive. I mean, he could be one of these guys. Cal Baptist D1 baseball. Playing Long Beach and Santa Clara and all those types of teams in that conference, and I've seen them play before, and they're the real deal. They're D1. They're not know, Auburn or some of these, you know, Oklahoma States, but they make noise. They've got guys there with that will get major league looks, several, and Benny's gotten some already. And I would, based off of this next year coming up, depending on his power numbers and you know what he slugs, because it's an analytical game, and if you can get on base and you can hit this and OPS this and slug that, they will find a job for you somewhere. So who knows? But it's going to be fun. I get to do that, and it's a nice fundraiser and play a little golf. But that's about it, man. I mean, I kind of talked my ear off. A couple viewers coming in late. Thanks for tuning in. Down to one, down to none. We're 45 plus. I'm going to come back on Thursday. Check it all out. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a good night.